The bitter wind screamed across the frozen wasteland of Nyx Haven, throwing sharp ice crystals through the air like tiny knives. Most soldiers would have hidden their faces, but Commander Stephen Drake did not move. His battle armor barely reacted to the cold, and through his visor he watched the figure standing in front of him. She was not alone. A massive beast waited beside her, huge and white, with fur that looked like ice and eyes that shined blue like frozen stars. Its breath steamed in the air, and its fangs were bared as if it was already tasting blood.
Ow.
But Stephen's attention stayed on the rider. She looked like royalty and danger mixed into one. Her skin was a glowing lavender. Her armor was black with gold lines that pulsed softly, and her silver-white hair whipped around her face like living metal. She lifted her chin and spoke with a calm voice that carried over the storm. I ask, "Again, human, why do you not tremble? One word from me, and Frostfang will tear you apart." Stephen's mouth turned into a small smirk, hidden behind his helmet. "Maybe I just don't scare easily," he said, "Your Highness." Her eyes narrowed at the title like it was both an insult and a test. "You know who I am?" she asked. "Princess Nyxa of the Stellar Dominion." Stephen tilted his head, as if he was looking at a statue instead of a threat. "Hard to miss," he replied. "The royal marks are kind of loud." He gestured casually at the glowing patterns on her armor. "But I have to say, you're a long way from your throne." Nyx's lips curved into a dangerous smile. She dismounted in one smooth motion, and even that simple movement looked practiced, like she knew exactly what effect she had on people. Frostfang stayed still, but its body was tense, ready to leap. Nyxa began to circle Stephen like a hunter walking around prey. "Clever human," she said, voice low and amused. "But knowledge won't save you. This world belongs to the Dominion. Now, your presence here is unauthorized." Stephen's head followed her slowly, calm and steady. "Funny thing about humans," he said. "We tend to go where we want, authorized or not." Nyxa stopped in front of him, close enough that the storm couldn't hide the heat of her gaze. "Such arrogance," she said. "Most species know better than to challenge the Dominion. Yet here you stand alone, facing me and my war beast. Without fear?" Stephen's voice turned slightly playful. "Maybe I'm just enjoying the view." For a heartbeat, something flickered in her expression, surprise, maybe even amusement. "Well, you dare flirt while staring at death?" she asked. Stephen shrugged. "Would you prefer I beg?" Nyxa took one more step closer. The symbols on her bracers pulsed brighter, like a warning. "Begging would be more appropriate," she said, "but perhaps less interesting." She raised one elegant finger and tapped his visor. "Tell me, brave human," she said, "brings you to my frozen world?" "Surely not just to trade words." Stephen caught her wrist before she could pull away. Frostfang growled, and the sound was deep enough to shake ice from the rocks. But Nyxa did not yank her hand free. Instead, her eyes widened slightly, and her smile sharpened. "Old," she murmured, as if she respected the risk. Stephen held her wrist gently, but firmly. "Would you believe I'm here for the weather?" he asked. Nyx's laugh was soft, like crystal chimes. "I would not," she replied. Then her gaze turned serious. "Remove your helmet. If we speak, I will see your face." Stephen hesitated. Removing it meant cold, vulnerability, and risk. But he could also feel something else in the air: curiosity. Real curiosity. He disengaged the seals and lifted the helmet away. The freezing wind bit his skin at once, but he didn't blink. Nyxa studied him openly. "Handsome for a human," she said, slow and thoughtful. "And your eyes, like frozen lakes, deep, unyielding." Stephen exhaled a breath that turned to mist. "You should see them in better lighting," he said. "Maybe over dinner?" Nyxa's smile widened. "You continue to surprise me." Then she pulled her wrist away slowly, as if she wanted to decide the ending of that moment herself. "Very well, Stephen Drake," she said, tasting his name as if it mattered. "You have my attention, for now. But one wrong move, one lie, and Frostfang will feast." Stephen nodded. "Understood," he said. "Though I wonder what makes you so sure I came alone." Her eyes hardened. "A bluff," she said. "I scanned the region. No life signs for 50 kilometers. Stephen smiled in a way that made confident people suddenly feel less confident. Technology can be fooled, he said, even Dominion. Tech. That made Nixa pause. Not angry, not afraid, but alert. You are either very brave, she said, or very foolish. Stephen lifted his shoulders. It's maybe both. Nixa turned and mounted Frostfang again. My base is east, she said. We will continue this conversation somewhere civilized. Try to keep up. Stephen Drake. It would be a shame to lose such entertaining prey to the storm. As they traveled, Stephen kept a careful distance. He had bought time and interest, exactly as planned. Because he wasn't here by accident, and he wasn't here for romance either, at least not originally. Earth's intelligence had seen the Dominion's sudden attention on this worthless ice world, and Stephen had been sent to learn why. Nixa didn't know that, not yet. She rode ahead with the confidence of someone who believed the universe belonged to her, and Stephen watched her hair stream behind her like a silver banner. He felt a grim humor rise inside him. She was about to learn something the Dominion often forgot. Humans didn't like being owned. The Dominion base rose from the white wasteland like a dark crystal blade, sharp and angular, swallowing light instead of reflecting it. Massive doors opened silently and heat rolled out, almost shocking after the storm. Inside, everything was polished, clean, and cold in the way rich people like to call elegant. Nixa gestured toward a storage alcove. Ow. Your armor, she said. Leave it. Stephen lifted an eyebrow. You want me unarmed already? Nixa laughed. If I wanted you dead, you would never have entered, she said. And I prefer to look my guest in the eye when I question him. Stephen removed his gear slowly, showing calm, but not weakness. Underneath, he wore a fitted black suit. Nix's gaze didn't hide her interest. Perhaps humans are not as physically inferior as our scientists claim, she said. Stephen's voice stayed smooth. Happy to update your research. Before the tension could settle into anything comfortable, a sharp voice cut into the room. Princess. 3 high-ranking Dominion officers marched in, armor ornate and heavy with authority. The one in front, a scarred general with blue skin, stared at Stephen like he was dirt on the floor. General Crixus, Nixa said coolly. I didn't know you were monitoring my entrances. Crixus's jaw tightened. When an unauthorized alien enters a classified facility, it becomes my concern, he snapped. Especially a human? Nixa didn't blink. Are you questioning my judgment? The air seemed to drop in temperature, even inside the warm base. One officer, a scaled female, shifted uneasily. Your Highness, the project, she began. Nixa cut her off with a look. This is my project, she said, each word sharp. Or have you forgotten whose research made it possible? Stephen watched closely. Every word, every reaction, every small fear behind their eyes. If Dominion elites were this tense, then the project was more important than Earth had guessed. Crixus stepped forward. The humans should be eliminated, he said. Or imprisoned. Nix's voice turned smooth and dangerous. He is my prisoner, she said, and I will question him personally. Crixus's eyes narrowed. Your fascination with humans is concerning, he said. Some might question where your loyalties lie. For a moment, even the guards looked nervous. Nixa moved closer to him, and somehow she seemed bigger than the room itself. Choose your next words carefully, General, she said softly. They may be your last. Crixus hesitated, then tried another angle. The Emperor would not approve, he said. Nix's smile was thin. My father isn't here, she replied. I am. Then she leaned in, voice like ice. And I find it fascinating that you are more focused on my guests than on the deadlines you repeatedly fail to meet. The scaled officer swallowed. Delays are due to complications in the crystalline matrix, she said quickly. Ah! Eyes glittered. Which is why a fresh perspective could be useful, she said. Humans excel at unconventional solutions. Crixus's face twisted with disgust. You can't be serious, he said. Nixa lifted her hand slightly. Just a gesture. Unless you would like to discuss your concerns with Frostfang, she said. That was enough. Crixus bowed stiffly. As you wish, Your Highness, he said, poison in every syllable. But I will report this. Nixa waved him away like he was nothing. Do so, she said. Now leave. I have a prisoner to question. When they were alone again, Nixa turned to Stephen with a look that was half predator, half curiosity. Well, she said, shall we begin? Stephen kept his tone light. Depends, he said. What kind of questioning do you prefer? Nixa stepped closer. My methods are not conventional, she said. Her fingertips brushed his jaw, and Stephen felt a faint tingling like static. Bioelectric enhancement, he realized. Dominion tech woven into flesh. Most species recoil, she murmured. Yet you lean in. Stephen's mouth lifted. Maybe I like living dangerously, he said. Nix's eyes darkened slightly, and for a moment the political danger and the personal tension tangled together. Then Stephen forced his mind back to the mission. Tell me about the crystalline matrix, he said. What are you building? Nix's smile returned, slower now, like she was deciding how much truth he could handle. Dangerous knowledge can be intoxicating, she said, and you are clearly already intoxicated. Stephen didn't deny it. If you were making weapons, Earth needs to know, he said. Nixa studied him for a long moment, then said quietly, We are building something the Dominion cannot live without. Before Stephen could press further, a chime sounded. A voice came through the cum. System, Your Highness, it said. General Crixus requests your presence. There's been an incident with the Matrix. Nix's face hardened. Of course there is, she muttered. Then she looked at Stephen and, to his surprise, nodded once. Come, she said. Let's see what my dear general is so desperate to show me. The main laboratory was enormous, like a cathedral built out of crystal and light. Towering structures pulsed with energy, and the air itself seemed to hum. Crixus stood by the central controls, too stiff, too ready, like someone performing innocence. His eyes flashed when he saw Stephen. You brought a consultant, he said. Nix's tone was ice. I did, she replied. Now speak. Crixus gestured at the displays. Fluctuations, he said. External interference. It may be an attack. Stephen leaned in and studied the patterns. Something about them looked familiar. He narrowed his eyes. Those signatures, he said slowly. They look like Earth's quantum communication protocols. Crixus snapped. Impossible. The scaled officer checked her readings, then stiffened. He's right, she said. These match known human quantum patterns. Nixa turned her gaze to Stephen, sharp and suspicious. Interesting timing, she said. Stephen nodded calmly. Very interesting, he agreed. Then he pointed to the pattern edges. But here's the problem, he said. Real external. Quantum hacking would show interference and degradation. These are too clean, too perfect. The room went quiet. That means, Stephen said, voice steady, the signal is being generated inside this facility. Someone is making it look like. Humans are attacking you. For a heartbeat, Nixa didn't move. Then her eyes shifted toward Crixus like a blade turning. Explain, she said. Crixus's hand slid toward his weapon. Stand down, Nixa said softly, and somehow that was more terrifying than a shout. Crixus didn't listen. He drew and fired. Stephen reacted without thinking. He tackled Nixa aside as a blast cut through the air and burned a mark into crystal behind them. Alarms screamed. The matrices pulsed harder, wild and unstable. Technicians shouted about a cascade. Failure. Nixa rolled to her feet with lethal grace, her suit shifting into combat form. You fool, she hissed at Crixus. You'll destroy everything. Crixus snarled, firing again. Better destroyed than corrupted, he spat. The Emperor will understand once I explain how his daughter was compromised by human seduction. Stephen dragged himself behind cover and forced his mind into cold focus. The Matrix is going critical, he said. If it collapses, it won't just destroy this base. It could trigger a chain reaction. Nix's voice was tight with fury as she engaged Crixus, her movements fast and precise. Fix it, she shouted. Stephen rushed the controls and started rerouting power, using principles he knew from Earth research. He could feel Dominion. Eyes on him, some shocked, some afraid. You can't do that, someone yelled. Stephen didn't look up. Watch me, he muttered. The pulse patterns began to settle as he forced the system into a stable rhythm. Grixis saw the stabilization and roared, breaking away to aim at the core. If I can't control it, he snarled, no one will. Before he could fire, the ceiling shattered with a violent crash. Frostfang dropped into the lab like an avalanche, landing with enough force to crack the floor. The beast's blue eyes burned with fury as it stepped between Nixa and Crixus. Nixa's voice turned sweet and deadly. General, she said, you once told me my judgment was compromised. She lifted one hand. One word from me and my pet will devour you. Now, shall we discuss your true loyalties? Crixus froze, trembling now. Frostfang snapped its jaws inches from his face. Then a new voice filled the laboratory. Calm, powerful, absolute. Enough. Every head turned. A tall figure stood in the entrance wearing full Imperial regalia, guards behind him. His lavender skin was darker than Nix's, and his gaze carried the weight of an empire. Father Nixa said, bowing her head slightly, but not breaking her strength. The Emperor's eyes swept the room, the scorched crystal, the stabilized Matrix, the terrified general, and finally Stephen at the controls. So, the Emperor said, this is the human. Stephen met his gaze without flinching. Your Majesty, Stephen said, I'd bow, but I'm busy preventing all of us from dying. For a moment, the Emperor stared. Then, to everyone's shock, he laughed. Direct, he said. Unafraid. I begin to see the appeal. Crixus dropped to his knees, babbling about corruption and betrayal. The Emperor's amusement vanished like a light going out. Silence, he said, and the word felt like winter. You claim loyalty while attempting to destroy research vital to our future. Guards, take him. Crixus was dragged away, still. Spitting hatred. The Emperor approached Stephen. You stabilized a cascade, he said. You understand quantum mechanics? Stephen nodded. Enough, he replied. Enough to know this facility matters. The Emperor's gaze sharpened. Your presence here was not coincidence, he said. Stephen didn't lie. Earth saw your signatures months ago, he said. You didn't know what you were building, so I came to learn. Nixa stepped beside him, eyes bright with something. Dangerous and proud. He could have sabotaged us, she said. But he saved us. The Emperor studied Stephen, then looked at Nixa, then back again. Then tell me, human, he said, what will you report to Earth? Stephen took a breath and chose his words carefully. I'll report that the Dominion is building technology that could enslave humanity, he said, and the guards tensed, or help us reach the stars together. And right now, I don't think you've decided which future you want. The Emperor's expression didn't change, but his eyes did thoughtful, measuring. Perceptive, he said quietly. The crystalline matrices can be weaponized, yes, but their true purpose is not conquest. He glanced toward the humming structures. They are gateways, Nixa nodded. Instant travel, she said. A network across the galaxy. Stephen's mind clicked. That's why this ice world, he said. The cold stabilizes the field. The Emperor gave a small nod. Correct, he said. And Earth's position makes it important. Stephen understood the real stakes now, fully. If the Dominion controlled gateways, they controlled expansion, trade, war, and the future. And if Earth became a nexus, then Earth could become either a partner or a cage. The Emperor's gaze shifted to Nixa with a faint, knowing amusement. And yet he said, my daughter has found humans interesting for reasons beyond science. Nixa lifted her chin. I make no apologies, she said. The Emperor's eyes warmed slightly. Nor should you, he replied. Then he looked at Stephen again. Which brings us to what we do with you, he said. You possess knowledge. That could be dangerous to us, or beneficial to both our peoples. Stephen didn't hesitate. An alliance, he said. Earth has quantum research. You have crystal tech. Together, this project moves forward faster, safer, and without another Crixus trying to burn it all down. The Emperor's eyebrow rose. Bold, he said. From a man who infiltrated us as a spy. Stephen's mouth twitched. Better than wasting years staring at each other across space, he said. Then, because Stephen Drake never knew when to stop pushing, he added, also, I think your daughter and I have already proven cooperation is possible. Few guards shifted. Awkwardly, Nyx's eyes flashed. The Emperor laughed again, louder this time. Very well, he said. I will consider an alliance. Then his tone turned playful in a way that still carried danger. But there is the matter of tradition. Anyone who courts a royal must prove worth. Nyx's head snapped toward him. Father, he raised a hand. Trials, he said simply. Combat, wit, and a final quest. Stephen felt his pulse kick up, but not with fear. With the thrill of the challenge, the Emperor leaned forward slightly. Less, he said, You are trembling now, human. Stephen looked at Nyxa. She looked back at him with the same predatory curiosity from the storm, but now there was something else to respect. Maybe even hope. Stephen's answer came easily. When do we start? He asked. Nyx's lips curved into a satisfied smile. Good, she whispered. Because I don't want a man who trembles. I want a man who stands. No. And in that moment, the stakes weren't only about survival anymore. They were political, galactic, and personal. Because Stephen Drake had walked into a frozen wasteland expecting a mission, and he had found something far more dangerous. A path that could change to civilizations, and a princess who might become either his greatest ally, or the reason an empire breaks.